Karma face checked a brush early on and then ended up giving first blood to Deft at level 1, and EDG was the team with Alistair. So I think EDG's team play is stronger than H2K's, and as far as the laning phase goes, that's going to be where H2K has to win. It's even more difficult against EDG than any other team.
And Clement, where we had talked about between AHQ and H2K, the mid lane kind of being the big disadvantage for AHQ, well, now Ryu has to deal with Scout, who does play the likes of Syndra, has that kind of champion pool that might do better in that lane. So, I mean, it feels like even more so odds are stacked against H2K as a result of that.
Yeah, I feel like EDG is coming in as the favorite of this group. They're probably going to win this. They're not going to be falling behind in the laning phase so hard. Plus, if you look at the CSE numbers, Forgiven is actually very close to Deft. They're very good laners, and I want to see how that bot lane plays out.
All right, well, with all of this in mind, let's go ahead and get your guys' predictions down the line. Who's running away with this one, EDG or H2K? Clement, you're starting us off.
I have to go with EDG, just like my reasons before. They're not going to have these weak laning phase issues. That's going to impact their draft a lot as well, and I feel like they have the better team play and team fight.
All right, Deficio.
Have to agree with Clement. I think EDG is going to win this game. They can match the laning phase, and also later on they play very safe. They play together as a group. They don't really throw away games. They don't give you many chances to come back, so I don't see H2K winning late game either.
Jack, close us out.
Yeah, if this were week 1 EDG against the H2K we just saw against AHQ, I would actually pick H2K, but it's not. EDG looked really clean in the INTZ game, and they had a lot of team play early on in the game, which I think even if H2K has individual edges, they will lose team play before 10 minutes, and that's why I have EDG.
All right, well, strong votes for EDG here. It's time now to head upstairs and hand it off to our casters for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash. And yes, indeed, this one is going to be a tough challenge for H2K. They may have beat the mini-boss, but here's the raid boss up and running.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that this matchup happens in standard lanes. So, in essence, regardless of what happens, we get a true laning test. And EDG is so likely to advance. We need to check how they do against good laning opposition.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially when a lane isn't swung level 1. I mean, we keep going back to it, but the Vondoing Vanda level 1, just going into that brush, it really was heartbreaking. And I'm looking towards this, not only for the bottom lane, but for a real heat check on how good Odoamne is. He's someone that I've always rated incredibly high in the European LCS, and I want to see if he can really take advantage of Mouse and set his team up for good success.
It's very tricky because once you get like absolute faith in Odoamne, he kind of lets you down, and that's like kind of the story of H2K historically for me. But especially going back to last week as well, you know, that face check from Vander, because yes, they equalized out the lane later on, but they should have smashed that lane 2v2, and sometimes it's the lack of something we don't get to see, you know, in that lane play out that way. It makes it really hard to judge, you know, what could have been. So I'm really interested to see what style of lane H2K pick up, because they got by last game by just picking Caitlyn Alistar and going slightly even in the head because of misplay on the other side. But against the likes of Deft and Mako, you may need more aggression to go even.
It certainly looks to be the case, and they want to get rid of any passivity in the lane already, taking away Tom Kench. Also, maybe indicating one more time into a 1-3-1 and how well that can stack up against it. Maybe try and get the rise.
Definitely, the support counter to 1-3-1 is that Tom Kench there. Early pick that we're thinking of was Syndra initially, but immediately banned out by EDG. They realized the priority on that pick alongside with the Nidalee.
Absolutely, and as EDG played their previous game today on blue side, it's going to be a very different composition. They had the Syndra, they had the Jhin, they had the Tom Kench. They're going to have to pull something out different.
Is H2K thinking about a very early Caitlyn pick here? That could actually buck many of the trends we've seen, because they don't want to hand over the Alistar on first rotation purple side. They banned out the Jhin themselves. Forgiven isn't a big Sivir player. It would give them the lead in the lane. I can almost see it happening.
Or maybe they're trying to pinch melee champs to be able to take away Nami, which a lot of supports right now consider the top range support.
But Karma can at least match that lane, and then it becomes more about the AD carries and a swing in power of a Caitlyn versus X, regardless of who gets the Nami and who gets the Karma, may be more influential. I'm really excited for this first pick.
Yeah, the Olaf is banned away, and now we have to see what H2K have been planning. Is it going to be that first pick up Caitlyn? They've got a lot of time to decide.
The more I think about it, the less I'm straying against it, because Forgiven just isn't a Jhin player himself, and he doesn't want, I think, Deft to get his hands on that Jhin, because Deft actually plays a fantastic Jhin overall.
The other thing that Defs play, if we just want to open up the AD carry champion pool, Ezreal has to be looked at some point. He plays a good Lucian as well, but we haven't seen a hyper carry out of him yet. He was historically Jinx, Twitch, not a laning AD carry at all. Get him into the team fights and light up. I think that is where they might look toward.
And there is precedent to not pick Elise here, because Krylov clearly had the option to pick it last game. He just didn't go for it. So H2K find themselves in a bind with nobody really needing a first pick specifically. I'm getting scared that hover of Maokai is lasting a bit too long. Oh, they're going for the Karma
again. All right, so that one's locked in. The flex pick, of course, but last time we saw the matchup, it was Vander who took it. And we all know the story from that.
They could actually go for Karma and Nami at the same time, really pinching that range support pool and throwing Mako a spanner in the works, because now Elise is taken away from Jankos. The safety laner top lane has been elected for Mouse, so his duty is clear. Just don't die too much on that Poppy and become a teamfight flanker. This could be a creative rotation for H2K if they go all in to the laning phase game. They put the Karma mid, just AFK push. They put the Nami in the bot lane, but that is very taxing and falls apart very heavily in the mid game.
I like it in the early game, however, and you have to be able to throw a wrench at EDG if you expect to beat them. So if you go all in on one point of the game, be it early game, and try and tear them apart, we've already seen that EDG didn't fight back well against INTZ when a similar tactic was used.
Got to play to those strengths. H2K know how they can win those games, and we saw it looking a lot cleaner last game against AHQ. Well, we'll see what they decide to answer with here, too. The Lee Sin still up for Jankos as the pickup of Elise was taken by Clear Love. Still don't have to pick the jungler just yet, but I want to keep my eye on Ryu, too, because he was so massive last game. I have a feeling he's got to be a big part of the game this time around, but there is the Caitlyn lock-in along with the Rek'Sai.
Super standard here. Rek'Sai jungle tank presence. Of course, EDG is now going to match that Karma potential flex with a Nami in the bot lane. There is no hard counter here.
They have against Caitlyn in the past played Varus, so that is a hover that they will legitimately look towards. Mako has played 8 brand support games for a 76% win rate in solo queue.
It's actually not a great matchup. It's while the crowd may love it, it is really hard to play brand support into Karma because Karma is a stronger poker and has shield. So sorry to burst your bubble, but Nami Ezreal seems like a fine matchup.
I'm just throwing out the stats.
Yeah.
I'm just here to facilitate the conversation.
Well, in the end, we get the standard pickup. Def going back in a very comfortable Ezreal choice, and the Nami, so that bottom lane will be poke support versus poke support. Unless, of course, the Karma gets flex mid.
One thing I can tell you from, being around the EDG, they think this is the best bottom lane in the world right now. They think that the poke, the ability to walk away from the minion wave, as Caitlyn's trying to shove, get down all that harass with not sustain, they really do like how this...
From a laning point of view, or just as the complete package?
Even like as a complete package. They think it does fine in lane, that they can get what they need. And then as it transitions to late game, Deft is just such a good blue Ezreal player.
Yeah, definitely love Deft on the Ezreal champion. The problem is if they find themselves slightly behind, it snowballs pretty far downhill. Because Ezreal always has to commit for that tier and commit to range farming. You could lose the pressure, but probably Karma Caitlyn is probably the most oppressive bot lane you could get. I like the pickup here for Odoamne here with some more engage on the cannon because they have the tank jungler. At least now they have the tank jungler, so it's not like an Elise cannon lane that's really hard to make teamfights work. H2K can definitely scale well again.
It's also a speed up engage as opposed to a dash, so it isn't ruined by Poppy. So that's why I really like it. Jankos can go in and get blocked, whereas the cannon's just going to fly in with a Karma shield, hopefully from a flank, and really light up the backline.
And Ryu takes the rise once again. This time it will be blind, and EDG looking to answer. Maybe the Malzahar is the one they're looking for, and it's locked.
Damn. That means Ryu will have to be very careful. He can't play the signature post-6 aggression style that Ryze likes to do because the threat of that ultimate from Malzahar combined with the Cocoon is going to be massive here. But if Jankos can shadow mid lane, then suddenly they have a really, really strong 2v2. Because Flash and Power can always cancel out Scout immediately.
Yeah, certainly do, but something historically against Catalyst users, LPL teams do like to force you to put a QSS in between, so it delays that power spike. It's not by an awful lot at the moment. QSS is quite gold efficient just for the MR, and it's so useful for the active, but it is something that you have to look for. In the same way, if Ezreal falls behind, if Ryze falls behind, he is going to be delayed.
But we have to mention that it is incredibly likely that H2K have 3 pushing lanes very early on. Malzahar is always associated with push, but this is post 6 and 7 because level 1 and 2, the Malefic Visions don't bounce quickly enough, which means no mana on every bounce, no cascading kill creeps, which means the Ryze can actually get the push in the early lane and has the better trading potential, which means Malzahar has to play under his turret.
Absolutely, and Ryu has definitely shown no qualms about pushing that up fast and early, and he's going to have Jankos on that Rek'Sai at the back of him. I think a lot will actually be on Clear Love, see what he does early on in that Elise.
And a 2-second stun heading into the jungle is going to be very useful in this composition, so Ryu, one more time, has to be able to put on the carry pens.
Absolutely. Now, guys, at home, don't forget to reach out to us on Twitter. Highlight the best moments from today's games using the hashtag #WorldsBigPlays. We have definitely had a few so far.
Yeah, a couple of really nice plays there. Let's see if there's more Ryze versus Elise dance-offs like we saw yesterday. I'm very excited to see what Jankos can do in this Rek'Sai, because again, he has a jungler with creative pathing. Walls are merely obstacles to a Rek'Sai. He can path over, above, and beyond.
We've hit the rift, and the crowd lights up. EDG always travel well, and H2K, well, there's some people that have been stunned by their performance last game. We'll see if they can do it again.
And this matters so much. A simple cheer to these players can change the entire mindset, knowing that the crowd's behind you, that you're finally playing on the world stage. For Jankos, for Vander, they've been trying years and years to make it here. They had such a wonky start, but right now the momentum shifted. The tides could be turning, literally in the bot lane. And for H2K, they definitely want to get that momentum, the crowd behind them, because they're facing a giant in EDG.
Yeah, they certainly are, but first step accomplished. I mean, they play it passively. They just give up the vision control.
Guys, it's the wrong team. They're not playing today.
Not today, unfortunately. This time around, H2K, have a much smarter start to their early game. No Vander wandering, and they do have a much more safe invade towards that red buff.
It's actually quite funny how many fans you interact with. I asked them, like, who are you rooting for? They're like, today I'll root for CLG, but I'm actually a TSM fan. Or today I'm rooting for H2K, but I'm actually a TSM fan. So I can't wait for TSM to actually play here with this crowd.
Crazy. All right, well, speaking of dance-offs, Ryu's going to have one on his own as Scout takes to the mid lane. And the
Is it really a dance-off if you're only dancing by yourself? I don't know about that.
Well, we were talking about the Elise ones, but 8 legs usually won out over 2. I don't know. Ryu's had some fancy footwork of his own this game, or the last game, I should say.
All right, we had good ward there. H2K snuck a ward into enemy red, so they're completely aware of what's happening here. Early red buff for Clearloft. You see Scout heavy committing with these creeps here, challenging for the push, but look at how low the range creeps are. It's so hard to push in a range. A Rise Water, once he gets access to those range minions, going back bot here. Early trading, that's good. Always trade onto death. Vander soaking the farm. It's not bad here, because the damage was mostly done on the enemy AD carry. Obviously, there is a sustain component here. But Vander has 3 pops, so essentially you need to kind of double his health bar. Good trading.
And I like to always watch the mana pool that's being expended right now. You can see that Vander's keeping himself topped off nicely. He's going to be able to heal back up with the pots. And Maker's already starting to chunk into that. And mana, ever since they removed mana potions, has been so much harder to get back in these laning phases. And that really does put the Nami at an inherent disadvantage if they're trading onto the AD carry especially.
And Nami definitely wants to make maximum value off those Ws, make him bounce here. Odoamne trying to keep Mouse away. Mouse was kind of almost faking an early gank there by how aggressive he was moving, but look at Jankos. Scout has no passive.
Waiting in the brush, and he's going to get the knock-up. Quick flash burn. It's going to be followed by Jankos. Ryu can't chase. No, he goes deep. He got his first blood. Oh, is he going to go down? He is. That's a trade.
A slight moment of hesitation on the side of Ryu, but he does get the first blood, which means an early tier. There's assist goal on Jankos, but 2 flashes have been burned, and right now it's up to Clearloft. Hang on.
Oh, no, with the one-on-one. Woo! He's asserting his dominance early this game.
Ooh, and that lane is borderline frozen. If that cannon creep stays alive, this is a fantastic spot for H2K.
Now they want to hit back.
Clearlove, he's down on the bottom side. He's not going to nail the Cocoon Forgiven with the flash, but the damage is there, and the red buff is real. Repel up for Clearlove. He's going to have to back away. Mako getting sunk by the Q.
And finally, a failed gank comes out, so you know 2 successful plays on the side of H2K. EDG try and get something back, but not there.
But that was a tilter. That Cocoon was what we call like a Mad Life. It was a flash predict by Clearloft. It was just off by a hair. If that hits Forgiven, he is definitely gonna not only die, but also get the mental kind of hit right there. Here we see this all in again from Odoamne. Stacks his W off, doesn't even get it off. This is just sloppy for Mouse.
That's just, honestly, that's abysmal for Mouse. I mean, he just got all in, point blank.
That's the point where the mistake's already made, which meant Mouse had his lane pushing away from him. He knows he either gets frozen, or he has to kind of push it in, and Odoamne sees the opportunity. He knows Clearloft is on the bottom side of the map because that ward early. Remember, Odoamne saw where Clearloft started. Clearloft did not show up for an early gank top, which meant he was almost 90% sure that Clearloft had to be on the other side of the map.
So advantage for H2K, 500 gold in the lead. They have been losing out on CS on this bottom side, but there's still a decent-sized wave of minions approaching as Scout gets some deep vision over at the Raptor camp.
It's actually impressive that apart from the top lane, EDG have managed to stay fairly even in CS because when Scout died, he loses all that experience and also the wave pushes back against him into the Rise, so you know he's able to catch up there. Rise, of course, died at the same time. And then bottom lane, that's actually a sizable CS advantage. I'm sure there's not 12 creeps sitting in that lane, not even close, so Deft and Mako still bullying out here.
The gank really hit Forgiven and Vander hard because it's so hard to play aggressive in the lane when you don't have your flashes available. Mako also used his though. So Forgiven has to be careful for a return gank from Clearloft, but that was so close. Beautiful flash predict cocoon there from Clearloft, but it was just an inch short.
So struggles in that bottom side, but where Vander has gone, or rather where Jankos has gone, has certainly paid out some dividends. Ryu with that trade in the mid lane, picking up a golden advantage for him, and he keeps on the pressure. So 2 winning lanes out of 3, definitely ain't too bad for H2K.
And Def wants to get to base to get his tier, because he's out of mana right now, and he can't actually poke down Forgiven, and the sustain is actually being won. Because in sustain battles, there's always something that breaks first, and right now it's Def's mana pool that is broken. He can regen it up if he farms safely on a turret, but it means the pressure is on the side of H2K, and there's more pressure mid lane from Ryu.
Speaking of, yeah, Ryu, he's got that blue buff, not running out of mana anytime soon, and Scout is going to get forced back here now. Back in the bottom lane, Deft gets stopped up, and the trap, oh, he's gonna get it! The heal, no, didn't get the trap, the bubble goes down. Forgiven steps too far forward. Meanwhile, back in the mid, Jankos.
And I think this is a mistake from Jankos, because he could right now be diving bottom lane onto Deft and forcing that summoner. Instead, he's going for the greedy dive mid that will get matched by Clearloft. He is, however, shadowing Ryu, so he can extend that pressure. But imagine a world where Jankos was bot right now.
Yeah, they just can't stay, and that means the lead would have continued to, I guess, increase it. Already 1,300 gold up at 6 minutes on EDG, and they want to pressure this jungle because that gives them access to the bottom side.
And this is what we were talking about. 3 winning lanes, and this Rek'Sai is just moving in between the lanes. This was the last bit of mana from Deft, and Forgiven is showing you what you can do with the new Caitlyn in terms of headshots. It will strap into headshot, into E, into headshot, always layering in between, getting those auto attack resets.
And he's starting to catch back up in farm right now, so the one place that they were having problems in the early game, H2K are starting to find their footing here. And if they can start to knock down some towers, push people back, well, guess what? The first Drake's Infernal, and they were doing quite a lot of work with just Oceans.
Yeah, and imagine what happens next when Forgiven and Vander base get more items in their inventories, and suddenly Jankos can path bot with Ryu, maybe use that ultimate, and Oduamna has teleport. That could be a clean 5-man dive in the bottom lane, and it's incredibly hard to stop that on the side of EDG.
Yeah, beyond that, I mean, right now, EDG is just ceded control of the entire map because they're being shoved in 3 lanes. Clearlove had to show when he didn't want to catch a minion wave. Everyone's caught back up on CS or is exceeding their opponents. And this is when Clearlove goes back to reactive jungling. And that's when he's at his worst. You want Clearlove proactive, setting up the ganks. But right now, he is being dragged all over this map.
Proactivity here. After sidestep, Mouse misses here. That could be a follow-up. Ryu.
Flash, there's a portal. They're going to go right on towards him for the dive, and Mouse is not getting out of this one alive. Ryu claims another, and the tower is open.
EDG is being done up to them. What they did the same thing in the first game. They were leveraging the push from mid lane into the side lanes, but right now it's H2K with the advantageous lanes coming out of pick and ban, and they're leveraging their push into top. Look how Ryu pushed mid, went top with Jankos, and at this point, Mouse, he has to hit this hammer, but the sidestep from Jankos, really smart, and the presence of mind from Ryu, skilling that ulti early. So often Vice players will skill it level 9, 10, 11, for the first time, but he gets it very early because he knows he'll be roaming.
And also the commitment. I mean, they think, you know, we can probably get that turret if we just stick around as 3, but let's go for the dive. Let's continue to pressure Mouse, who is now 30 CS down. And when you only have 30 CS yourself, that's a pretty big deal.
But this is how EDG lost their only game, and it was a lot more pressure up top. It was Revolta camping with Yang. But even though Oduamne was able to get the 1v1, then Jankos comes in, they do this big play. Mouse just needs to live. We talked about it. He's not doing it, and this is going to cause problems all across the map. Scout is forced out and forced to use both his summoners.
Yeah, look how they played. As he tunnels in, he gets the Brace Seeker out, which pops the Malzahar passive, gives enough time for Ryu to snare, and that finishes the tunnel animation for Jankos to get inside the knockup range, and then Scout has to flash. Not only does he flash, he's also super chunked, which puts him in kill range for Ryu. He always has the turnaround kill, though, because Ryu has Mercs, but no QSS.
There's Clearlove. Back in the reactive jungling, Jankos takes away his wolf camp. Still in relative safety here as Deft and Mako look for a roam.
Yeah, you can see that, you know, right now with the push into mid lane, with the push into bottom lane, they're looking for the vision around the Dragon buff. With the Rise one more time, Infernal is so valuable.
That's a little bit of RNG here, coming to beat EDG. Pushed in lanes, both mid and bot lane. That Fire Drake could be very influential later in the game if H2K can get access, and that's why EDG is trying to like aggressively defend, but as they move into their own jungle, they leave mid lane exposed. There's chip damage everywhere. Look at Jankos and Ryu. They moved to Dragon for a second, but they said, you know what, guys? take mid lane, because look where Scout is basing back. No summoners. What a fantastic start by H2K.
It's working well for them. Now Deft, he's going to try the all-in with Mako. Flashing is Vander away from the wave. Forgiven is low on mana. They put the exhaust. They're going all in. He's going to flash the bubble. There's a teleport. Clearlove was tanking tower. It is canceled by Odoamne, but they do hold. And look who's coming. It's Jankos.
Odoamne flew all the way backwards there. Clearlove went for the cocoon onto Forgiven. Luckily, Vander didn't eat that one. Vander was getting ready to block it for his AD carry though, so good communication finally coming out. The synergy seemingly fixed from week 1 to week 2.
And honestly, this is what you see out of EDG when they fall behind. Deft and Mako look desperate to make a play on the bottom side of the map. They know top lane is pretty much done. Mid lane is just a disaster right now for Scout. He hasn't got the shove. He can't roam around. And that puts so much pressure on the duo.
Well, you say desperate, it still was very well executed here. Odoamne looking for a face, he can get knocked into the wall.
Oh, he does. He could go down here. Mouse might have an equalizer, but look at that damage! He just lightning rushes and Mouse knows he can't follow.
But still, Mouse to get that trade off from being 30 CS down still at this point in the game. He's coming back because he not only did that, but he also canceled Odoamne's teleport. So, flash, heal, exhaust, and support flash down in the bot lane. Teleport canceled. H2K just took a big hit in terms of resources.
Yeah, and that means you have to slow your gameplay down. As soon as you wanted to accelerate, set up around that dragon, and all of a sudden without crucial summoner spells, you're not going to be able to go for those plays. So you've got to give credit to EDG. They are masters at stalling out games.
Yeah, and even a little bit of alteration in terms of item builds here. The rush on the Iceborne Gauntlet here for Deft as well. For going the traditional build, they're just trying to catch up.
Yep, definitely desperation. However, they do manage to find themselves some breathing room here. We're just close to the 12-minute mark on the game, and the gold lead in favor of H2K, still in the hunt for their Infernal Drake, but they don't have the pressure on that side of the map right now. And after backing, we'll see if the items make the difference.
And right now, we got to keep our eyes on the junglers. They are the main influencers currently in the game. Jankos has that roaming aspect, that global with his tunnels. Can be anywhere on the map, and Clearlove uses the raw power of that cocoon follow-up.
Yeah, and so much damage that Elise brings to the gang. Generally, you just have to be able to lay down the initial CC and she will do the rest. However, with the waves being always pushed up, with the good vision control, we've not seen one of these gangs come out.
But I'm loving the synergy between Jankos and Ryu here. Ryu sidesteps the silence.
Ooh, he just stepped right up in front, and there is still a ghost on Scout, but look at what he's getting done to this turret.
Ryu was so close to flashing there, but if he flashes at the wrong moment and Scout goes for the ulti, Ryu takes a smart approach, put him back into the base here. But because Jankos is always so close in the mid lane, Ryu does not have to be afraid of getting ulted into an Elise gank, which means he doesn't build QSS. He goes for the straight, raw damage.
Yeah, and I really respect the decision-making out of Ryu here, because you can see he understands that they need this snowball to continue. They can't take that backward step we said they would have to, and he's pressuring everyone on the map.
This is exactly what he was able to do against Westor just the previous game. This is so massive, Ryu performing so well, and Jankos is just giving him the leeway to do it. No answer from EDG.
Look at how short that silence was there as well because of the merge threats. One of the few silences that was left in the game do get reduced by that boots choice. He also blocks a lot of the cocoon follow-up by reducing that cooldown effect there, or CC effect rather. So Ryu liking the adaptation in the build, not just going for the blind habitual QSS.
So far, so good. Well adapted from H2K's squad. And Deft trying to push the bottom side. Mako clearing the wards out and just making sure that they can't secure this dragon blindly. But Deft is going to have to back here.
Yeah, teleport is available. We'll see if they make a play now that they do have that in their favor. Deft also has to go back now and pick up a very late tier. Although here's the play.
Oh, well, he gets nailed by the cocoon. The Merc Threads maybe not quite enough. Malefic Vision's on. He's going to try and turn for this one. Avoids the silence. Ezreal comes in. The ulti is going to go just away.
And we were just talking about that. The second the aggro comes in, because Ryu is just tanky enough to survive, Jankos swoops in. Just a knight in shining armor.
Yeah, exactly right. And all you need is that presence to disengage, and they don't really lose all that much out. There's going to be a mid lane shove, but double summoner spell burnt. Still one summoner spell on the side of EDG, and Odoamne is just putting in overtime up here.
Yeah, Q-Max on that cannon, really working on the poke here, but Mouse has gotten tanky enough that he keeps that CS deficit very stable.
Yep, so far he's kept it in the way it is, but he still fell behind quite a lot early on. Now you can see Clearlove making his way up to the top side. A lot of pings for EDG, focusing around this dragon. Odoamne gonna face check for the ward. Clearlove was there. does not hit the cocoon.
The nose on the cannon sniffs that one out. All of a sudden, they start up the dragon, and Clearlove's on the wrong side of the map. We've already gone over it. Caitlyn, Ryze, even the cannon going to be able to translate that so well.
The next 3 minutes are incredibly crucial here for H2K. Not only are they challenging Dragon, they're getting mid lane turrets down, potential rotation bot, plus a dive with the teleport that's back up for Odoramne. They survived the 4-5 minutes of TP advantage, and they could look for a second tower in the bot lane because they still have Forgiven and Vander winning the 2v2 in terms of pressure. Not CS. They're down CS.
That's okay. It's hard to do against Deft and Mako, but they do get themselves the first brick. Mouse backing Odoamne, throws the ward in, and he's going to stop him for just a second, clearing away the pink ward as he goes. H2K definitely getting what they want here, and the gold lead's growing for them.
Honestly, in terms of pressure, there's just pressure everywhere. Ryu now makes the roam down, has spotted out the Elise, and is going for the kill.
Oh, Cocoon doesn't land. Clearlove's going to have to go Spider form. Ryu's backed away here, and now EDG are wise to this. Tense moment, though. You can see the pings just everywhere the moment Ryu shows face.
Yeah, the wave was evaporated in the bot lane. Def picked up that blue buff with the tier that he built very late. The late stacking tier. He actually has a lot of wave clear here. Look at it spamming Q every single time on cooldown just to get that wave pushed out. He really does not want to give H2K access to a roam. It may actually be wise for them to switch up the map. Start playing towards top side. Maybe kill Mouse one more time.
I definitely think because they have the quicker shove, I mean, you can just tilt over that wave, get it pushed up nicely. That's where the rotation does come in. Get Odoamne to start stacking up that wave and have a look to see if you can open up the map. Or no, Scout again.
He's got summoners this time, but he is oh so low. Ryu does not have the flash of the ghost, and Scout is forced to use the ladder to get himself out of harm's way. No tower to fall back to. He's having a hard game.
Got to keep running as well, Scout. You can't afford. Ooh,
he's got to back off
back
this.
There. All of a sudden, EDG's bottom lane 2v2 just raw power. Fourth H2K back.
Powerhouse here, Deft and Mako really using the poke once they have that push, because with the blue buff that they've got, you know, spamming those Qs. But Clearloff and Scout in the mid lane, they're playing under such pressure. It's so hard for them to even get that wave equal, which means Mouse is being isolated in top lane very soon. This has to be a turret kill for EDG to equalize the pressure in the game, because otherwise H2K are just going to overflow.
Yeah, and H2K, they already made the move. They disappear into Fog of War. Odoamne is going to look to respond. They want to defend. They're sending up 2 members out of EDG. They need to start wrestling back control.
They haven't got tower just yet. Odo is actually going to beat them to the punch. He takes that one out, and Mouse was there a little bit too late. EDG finally will respond with their first turret. But H2K have already got one, and they keep the gold the way it was.
What a fantastic early game, though, here. 4,000 gold in the lead at 17 minutes. Against EDG, a tournament favored by many analysts and casters, honestly. Maybe not the most favorite to win it all, but definitely top 3 in the running to take the title.
Yeah, they're in the conversation. If we've seen anything, it is the fact that the early game is a place to target on this team. Get the lane shoving up. They will pick for the team fight phase because that's what the LPL teams do so well. And as long as you can keep this pressure applied, they don't allow themselves back into the game. But right now, that's where it is. H2K, if they make the one mistake against EDG that they made against AHQ, it's over.
Look at this.
Ryu, he's going to get CC chained. In comes Jankos. It's going to be too little, too late. This time, Clearlove will respond with the kill, and Jankos is now going to have to bail out Clearlove on the offensive. The turret goes down in bottom, but EDG pick up a big 2 kills.
2v2, it was enough for Jankos to be present, albeit late, but 2v3, it wasn't enough. Another 2 layers of crowd control got added by Mako in that exchange.
And EDG are masters at taking the maximum. They actually continue to chase through there. They pick up the second kill. However, H2K do strike back. They get a turret in response. And concentrated gold versus global gold, EDG might have come out a little bit ahead of that, but it's still a trade.
But they get map control, and apparently, or they also just get a little bit of confidence here. Having that play work for Scout with a flash, Cocoon into Bubble, into Silence, into follow-up, double wave. Like, it is incredibly clean. Yes, they lose that bot lane turn, but they would have lost it anyways. And now they could actually move into the red side jungle to get some vision and actually start challenging H2K in the setup phase.
And look at how they're playing around bottom lane one more time. We said this is the area that EDG like to attack. Ult comes out, Ryu's in trouble.
Oh boy, let's see how well the one before is. Now this, we've seen it before. He's gone down. Double TP's popped. Double TP's canceled. EDG have found the weak point to continue to shove onto Ryu. Now they're on the bottom turret.
Only 2 keeps, but they have Spiderlings, which means this turret won't get the full armor bonus, and it could actually go down on this wave. Forgiven, desperately trying to challenge, but he's taking so much damage.
Oh yeah. H2K. EDG, they backed off for just a moment, but they have found a way to get in, and they've started to close this gold gap. H2K, they need to move faster around the map. EDG just have pulled the trigger.
And that is now a 25 CS lead for Deft. I mean, you cannot compliment the 80 carry from EDG enough. And you have to look at Mako as well. This guy, from being a rookie support last year, came into MSI, crushed that tournament. Disappointing Worlds, as did everyone, but has looked stellar as well now.
Just so impressed with how they took that initial loss in the bot lane. Deft and Mako, they were slightly behind, but he just rushed the Iceborne just to put a band-aid on the problem. And then suddenly, with the late tier and blue buff infusion, he pushed the pedal, and then suddenly he started winning that matchup. Got the push, got the turret pressure.
As it stands, at that 20-minute mark, H2K, they had a big gap that started to close here. Mouse play with a bit more confidence. Ryu is spotted up in the top side, but there's a big wave pushing against. A lot of members of H2K hanging around in this river, trying to keep the control that they have as Mouse backs away. Ryu on side wave duty.
And now all of a sudden, you kind of have to criticize Ryu for his build, because I agreed that rushing the roller got him in a good spot. However, the Abyssal Scepter wasn't really necessary. He could have gone towards a QSS, had the magic resistance anyway, because it's the AD dealers that actually are chunking him out at the end of these now. It's, you know, you have to get nitpicky, but maybe that second kill doesn't go through if that is the item build that he goes for.
Yeah, maybe a late QSS will still kind of solve it all, but you definitely avoided that last step if you went for Quicksilver Sash coming out here. EDG have control of the bottom side of the map. They're looking to trade this for a tier 2 tower though, so H2K definitely banking on some of the more worth objectives in terms of gold.
Looks like they should be able to secure this one. Not too many minions left, but they've brought the entire team to play. Minus, of course, Odoamne sitting on that bottom side, so they will be able to clear out tier 2 turret for EDG, picking up the Ocean Drake, and now they're looking to flank.
Both these teams have a very dangerous Baron call though. Percent damage plus Void Links plus an Ezreal on the side of EDG, and just Machine Gun Rise plus turn potential flank teleport for the cannon here. Baron will be again the main protagonist to decide how this game pulls out.
And you can see how they're jockeying for position around this turret. EDG want the trade. H2K may be looking to fight, although give it up.
It's a bit of a macro mistake, leaving your mid lane tower exposed while you go for a dragon for tier 2 trade. Not really worth it. EDG is definitely playing the map just a hair better.
And when you see how H2K won the last game, the fact that they were able to play the 1-3-1, because you have a Poppy, that's kind of inevitable. You're going to lose the side lane turrets anyway, but you need to be able to open up the map and look for these deep flanks.
They've definitely been able to do it. H2K clearing out the...
That's bold.
Yep.
The fact that they actually have the stones to go for a 2-man Baron after Karma stole it in the first game. Mental resilience.
It's one thing we definitely got to see out of H2K now. So next dragon that's going to be spawning, it will be a while. It's the Cloud Drake up, so obviously all eyes will be on this Baron for some time. Scout clearing out the mid lane, and now you can see EDG playing with renewed vigor here.
Yeah, taking it slow, sweeping out the vision. There's a couple of pink wards up on your top left right there. And H2K have hit in the jungle. They have Wolf Sprite, so they're relatively safe here. And now Forgiven wants to challenge mid lane push here. Once they get the push here, you can challenge him. Oh,
34 health.
Always so close. These guys are so good at
It's Ezreal's, man.
stealing blue buffs.
Don't steal that time around. Ryu doesn't get as much getting buffed. Forgiven just keeps on clearing out the mid lane. A lot of EDG members stacked to the top side, but it is just a game of waiting and seeing if you can get a catch up. It's so much vision here invested around this Baron pit and around the jungle around it.
EDG is kind of playing 3 people on the side lane because they want to challenge Ryu. They don't want to give Ryu a 3v or a 1v1 brawler. They really just want to keep him down number-wise, keep him contained in the cage.
Hard to keep him down though. He's clearing those waves away real fast. EDG though stacking 4 members up top.
But look at the wave clear that comes out of Ryu, and I guess they always have that counter initiation because of the ult. So this is a dangerous game that EDG is continuing to play. Now everyone's up towards that top side of the map.
Looks like they may be going for it. Deft, he wanted to push forward. Ace of Bowl spent.
Zone though coming out of Scout with that ultimate.
We're back to 1v1 in the bottom lane too.
Finally QSS picked up by Ryu. And Odoamne, well, he was snowballing early. Obviously that cannon goes into his Zonia's build, so he doesn't build for raw damage. He goes for sustainability in these team fights because he has to act as like a quasi-tank in the fights.
I think that's what it is. They know that ultimately this is going to come down to team fight, so he can't go for a second item Void Stuff or something like that to continue to punish the one-on-one. Instead, one more time, Odoamne after winning his own early game, does the unselfish thing, goes towards teamfight play. And it's the right call, because if the Poppy gets the flank, Kennen needs to be there to light up the back.
Yeah, definitely just needs to buy time for both Ryu and Forgiven on these champions that can solo win team fights. Just by the sheer amount of damage that they produce.
Winning formula for H2K, and that Infernal Dragon definitely won't hurt their chances either the longer this game goes at 8%. Definitely starts to stack up for them.
With Deft and Base, they're looking to maybe attack Poppy in the bot lane. But Mouse is not showing. Red buff really important here for Forgiving as well. They start kiting. And the attention kind of shifts towards Dragon area. H2K, they seem very set on getting these Baron wards down. Definitely practiced a lot on this particular concept.
Yeah, they certainly did. And at this stage of the game, you know, you have to say that they're executing much better. Although now Odoamne,
He's in trouble. He has to get out, and that could be a counter Baron here.
Quick flash, gets the knockup. He even spends away. Oh, Mouse knocked him right in the range, or right outside the range of the cocoon. He might get off of this.
That Q connecting is actually really important because it slows down Clearloff. He doesn't want to commit here, and a Baron gets started by H2K. So decisive.
Oh,
PK, no
damage.
smite.
They do not have a chance to contest this. No smite available. They just need to sink it. They get it. And EDG, we're just too late. H2K beat them to the punch. All they need to do is escape right now, and they do take the short range portal. No chance for EDG to get back into this one.
and all of a sudden top lane turret being up means that EDG can't chase. H2K, they withstand the gank, they come up huge.
They have patience. They have good Baron vision control. They see somebody do something on the map, and they react with a cross-map play. Not only do they get the Baron control down, there is no karma on the other side of the squads, which means the Baron goes to H2K, and they get out with the presence of mind of Ryu using his ultimate. This is a completely different H2K, and this is actually what we wanted to see today. Massive improvement. But we can't talk enough about how big of a blunder that was from Clearloff to channel a Kennen in the bot lane.
And that's what I want to talk about. However, Clearlove's been a little bit caught here. Will scamper away.
See the momentum just continually shifting. Jankos needs a point-blank spear, but Odo is there, forcing the quick flash, and Clearlove still nearly goes down. Right now, you can see the momentum shift. H2K with Baron buff, 5 members on the bottom. This tower's not going to last, and they can rotate mid easily off of this.
Yeah, because imagine what happened. Even if Odoamne got his ulti off and then his Zonias, he would have bought at least 5 seconds of time. That wouldn't be enough for Mouse to make it back to that Baron pit, and that would still be a Baron taken by H2K here. So macro-wise, a major blunder by EDG.
Completely agree. And EDG right now, they seem to want to be playing with a winning side lane. They believe that you have to be able to pressure one point in the map to really be able to open it up, and that means that more often than not, Clearlove in the mid game is going towards Mouse, and it just punishes the team so heavily.
Yeah, Odoamne stuck in a side lane, can't actually get the tier 2 that usually is there because H2K is so far ahead. So they're just gonna fall back here, look for the dragon. They only want to commit to this tier 2 tower in mid lane if they have flank ulti pressure with Odoamne, but his flash is still down from the earlier exchange, so they're probably just gonna back, build up, and lean on that 6,000 gold advantage that they have got.
Yeah, big swing for this team as EDG were looking to get back into the swing of things themselves. H2K managed to find a big opening, and this is a team that can make some really big plays without actually killing anybody. Well, just gets back, push on the side waves. They got their items, they got their gold well spent. Another QSS this time is picked up on Forgiven.
And we'll see what they actually get out of Baron buff, because right now when you look at this team, it is so scary. The Caitlyn should be able to siege in. Kennen, although doesn't have a teleport or the flash, still has great flanking potential with the Proto Belt. And you can see that they want to shove up mid, they want to be able to make this work. However, Scout in the side wave, trying to alleviate pressure.
I think H2K just get a map reset and a bigger gold lead. They're not going to get an extra objective here, but they have the chance to push in these waves and get some deep vision and then play around that, and then it's their job to show how good they can be on the map pressure point of view. Can they actually have the necessary macro to push out, or can EDG hold and make a signature pick here later in the game? Because EDG late game, even with a deficit, can turn a single pick into a beautiful team fight and leave many teams in awe.
And one thing you do have to point out is, you know, Ezreal is so high late game damage if you're able to weave those skill shots away that players like Defs are. Mouse is going to, you know, get back to that unkillable state eventually if they can't close out this game. So this is a great test for H2K. How far have you come in those 4 days of practice? Are you going to be able to close this one out cleanly? Because you could against AHQ to a point, but EDG is a different one.
We talked about defending the flank. EDG have not been able to find it in. A big part of that has just been H2K really going ham on these wards and getting them where they need to be. They haven't been surprised by too many EDG moves.
Yeah, but they're understanding what they need to do. They need to initiate protocol 1-3-1, put Ryu on a side lane, put Kennen in the other side lane, and then just simply push into waves. And it'll be a stall until the next Dragon or Baron spawns. They're not going to breach the base with sheer split push, but they can choke out EDG, take away their jungle, leave wards everywhere, and just stay in control until the next Baron spawns, or maybe they pick up another Infernal, or they punish EDG for overreaching. Because EDG's reaction is going to be making a pick with Clearlove. So as long as they can track the enemy jungler, H2K should be in a good spot.
Yeah, keeping Clearlove out right now is like goal number one. Set up the 1-3-1. Whichever side of the map you want to play towards, make sure that you have that triangle vision set up in the jungle and you're able to rotate sooner, because you do not want to give EDG an opportunity at 30 minutes into the game to pick up even that one kill, because we've seen they rotate into Baron really quickly when that comes available. They're going to be able to shove this one down mid incredibly quickly. So H2K, they need to play it patient. They're doing the right thing right now. They're setting up their side lanes. They're looking towards Dragon in that vision. One misstep can be very costly.
Team like EDG can always punish. H2K are keeping cautious and on their toes, clearing out the pink wards. Mouse had spotted the Jankos movements. He goes immediately back to the safety of his inner, or rather, front of the base, I should say.
So you can tell which objective they're aiming for by where Kennen is, and they're actually moving on to the top side of the map, which indicates that they're actually going to go for Fire Dragon first, it seems, because they keep their eyes in the bot lane. But it does look like H2K is very confused, because now they're swapping lane assignments again here.
I was going to say, I actually like prioritizing Fire Drake, because we know...
Oh, they're looking for a Rise ultimate on the bot lane, I think, with Poppy. Look at the pinks.
Oh, here we go. They're going to bring Jankos. They're going to bring more than just
so
him.
smart.
And there is nowhere. Mouse is only able to eject Jankos, but it's still a 1v2. The wave comes in, and they heal. They save the life of Mouse.
A genius play followed up by subpar execution here to completely butcher it. They do get the flash out of Mouse here, but it just shows EDG another one of H2K's trump cards here. What could they do once they overextend in the silence? It's exactly that. That's why they weren't going for the 1v1. They were using the global here from the Rise.
And that was a good punish, don't get me wrong, but that also shows that you have to execute against EDG, because you leave the window open even slightly, they will be able to get away. I love the thought process of that, however, because it opens you up to all these clever plays that when you get mid lane shoved, when they go to match it, what can Rise do if you deny Fog of War? He can get you in behind that team. So hopefully this opens up H2K to more smart plays.
Yeah, but it's dangerous to remind your enemy of what your champions do. It's the same way A and X kind of reminded people, hey, Anivia and Poppy, that stuff stuns, but they got so much off it. Right now, they reminded EDG that they have to be careful overextending in these side lanes against the Rise. They kind of threw away that one trump card.
That's the cost of a flash for Mouse and an ult from Mako. I know Summoner's burned on the side of H2K and all that exchange, but it continues to be very tense. Baron is about to respawn. EDG are stacked up top right now.
Yeah, H2K could actually run it down mid here, go for that turret.
I wonder if EDG actually turn on Baron if that's the case, because there's a way to force people off the mid lane push, and that is just start up that objective, and we've seen that EDG do it in the past. I think that H2K right now probably could just shove through and try and punish them super hard for
They're not
a move
aware.
like that.
They don't know exactly where the EDG members are, so they're going back to the Baron dance here. Pink ward, spots the ward in the back. It's a good setup though, good sweeps.
And I like this from EDG, because you have to be able to drag them back into the river. Caitlyn Trap is just so punishing.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back to it. Stixxay really showed us the worth of these traps at MSI when he was able to destroy teams single-handedly with them. So get them out of that siege mode, drag them back through the river, make the Caitlyn reset.
Look what Odorama is doing too. He's playing tag team here. He's going to take over the mid push so they can aggressively challenge the vision. H2K is accelerating their play here, and Mouse is afraid to move too deep in that bot lane. Does give access to EDG, or allowing them to group up as 5.
Infernal Drake about to respawn here. Odoamne positioned prime right now.
Yeah.
They just keep him on it for the time being as EDG just continually pinging out Ryu in the mid lane.
Vision's so important here. Take a look at the side stone. There's one more ward left on each of the support side stones.
They've pinged it out. They know Dragon's happening.
I'm
Mouse
gonna
is
make
in there.
line. Vander, they've got to get here really fast or escape in time. Jankos gets banged against the wall. He's ulted here. Is this one going to be worth? He's going to flash over it. The wave comes, and he waves goodbye. He makes it out with the Infernal.
Yeah, really nice play out of Jankos there. He burns a Summoner spell nice and early. He got one out of Scout in response, and that's a second Infernal Dragon picked up one more time for a Rise Caitlyn composition.
Yeah, really big play there. Vander moves in, helps Jankos long enough. No follow-up CC after the ultimate from Malzahar. Mikhails came out and suddenly Jankos can flash out for the Infernal. Such a good trade. There's pressure on both sides here. H2K in such a fantastic position right now.
Got wave pushed up in the top side. There's a big one built against them in the bottom, but they are sending Odoamne to deal with it. Right now, H2K having firm control of this Baron pit. They just need to clear out the ward. Jankos, it's going to expire anyway, so they're completely fine with that. And EDG are officially in the dark there.
Deft wants the top lane farm. Actually, they're going to give it over to Mouse. It's an interesting call. He wants the Bork, and Ryu gets chunked out by the Baron.
A little bit of help from Def there to get that one started, so he's going to have to back off for the time being. EDG trying to reestablish themselves over by this Baron pit. The pink ward's still going to be spotting out any moves they decide to make, but blind in there, they just send a couple of shots flying. Meanwhile, in the bottom side, Odoamne continues to charge down the line.
They were just waiting for Mako to get over there. He has a full sight stone. They were just making sure that they're able to check that the Baron's not being started up. They've already been burnt by it once. Finally, Iceborne Gauntlet picked up for Mouse means that he's a legitimate teamfight threat, especially against Forgiven, because you don't go armor penetration on the Caitlyn. Things are starting to get better for EDG. The problem is they're already good for H2K.
Yeah, they've got the second Infernal, as you mentioned, talking about this in a big damage comp. They've got Ryu just really, really rolling on forward now. The Void Staff finished and everything. He's going to be able to take out this ward in the pit, prompting EDG once again to respond. But this is what you guys were talking about, always forcing them to respond to the moves you're making on the map, not letting EDG play the game they want.
Yeah, Mako has to be sparse with these wards. They're a rare commodity. Baron dance-offs. That pink ward is helping him so much.
Oh, they go right on in and they look for Mako. They have enough damage to finish the job. Odoamne gets ulted by Scout, and they are going to have the numbers advantage until it looks like Ryu gets ejected. Odo, he's going to go down now. EDG might just be able to take this fight. Flash is burned on both sides and low health bars, but they've locked up Clear Love, and they've knocked him up right back to Fountain. They're looking for more. H2K with a 2-for-1.
Fantastic move out of H2K. One more time. Rise ulti comes in, and they catch EDG napping, get the pick, and they get a turnaround kill at the very end.
Oh my, it was so close for Odoamne to get a 3-man stun to completely swoop EDG off the map here, but the turnaround was so good. Then Clear minorly overextends, but Ryu has so much damage. People have to be careful around him.
Now, without the jungler available, they're going to go straight back to the Baron buff. EDG do have 3 members still up. See where they can contest.
Well, it's down to 3,000. They've got Mouse. He's pushed back. There's no slide available. They do secure it. Mouse wanted the fight, but Jankos is going in. They've locked up Mouse. They're going to take him down. They just need a bit more damage. Forgiven finishes the job. Jankos a little low, but they finished off Scout. They get the Baron. They get the kills. H2K charging for victory.
And this is the H2K everyone hoped to see because they have such good laning phases. And if they can transition it late with good macro play, this team can be a beast.
H2K has such a high ceiling compared to HQ, and that's why we rated them very often in the second place in this group, and they're showing up here. They managed to go equal and ahead in the laning phase, and this completely threw EDG off guard here. Completely unexpected Rise ulti here. Look at Odoamne, the follow-up is so close to go for a stun.
Yeah, it certainly is. He dives in there, nearly gets death, and that's ultimately who takes him down. But then EDG, they have the Rylai's, they have the Iceborne Gauntlet, they want to chase, but they don't calculate Ryze's damage. It's just too damn high.
It's so satisfying to see H2K finally play towards their ceiling and get some improvement in their key elements that kept going wrong, which was the Baron setup, which was the team fighting. They seem very decisive here, and they need to show that they're a macro team that can close on the world stage.
And their late game has certainly looked just oh so much better. 10,000 gold in the lead at the 38-minute mark. They beat AHQ in 41. EDG are certainly going to die a lot harder, but the question becomes, can they close, and how are they going to do it?
And they're carrying the hopes of all European fans right now with the complete capitulation of G2 Esports, and honestly, the Mount Everest that Splice has to climb, winning all 3 games in that group. H2K is the only hope left for Europe.
Well, they're certainly looking like they're up to the task in this particular game. This would be such a massive victory for them after the confidence boost they got from beating AHQ. To take down the team that many consider to be one of the top 2 teams here at Worlds would be huge for them. They wrecked down the mid turret. They look to charge for more with this Baron buff. There are no waves pushing in favor of EDG right now, and H2K, they just need to keep it up and not show any weaknesses.
This is where EDG starts getting real nervous because the siege setup is so potent out of H2K. They've got good 1-3-1 split push. And honestly, if something short of death popping off in a team fight, their back is so far against this wall.
And what impresses me the most is that they're actually using Ryu as a main initiator with that Realm Warp, and they're very much so communicating about what they want to do. Forgiven loves wasting his ulti really early on, but
It's got low enough cooldown for him. EDG aren't going to give up this Elder Drake easy. 15 seconds before it spawns.
but they don't get much benefit from claiming the Elder Dragon. That's the problem. H2K can use this as a bargaining chip in the dance-off. They could do a lot when they get it, but there's only a single Dragon buff on the side of EDG. H2K don't mind losing it all too much.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you have a look at how they're rotating between mid and bottom with a pushing top lane, there's just nothing to lose right now for H2K. They're not taking the risky play. In fact, they're looking for an engage.
Oh, Clear Love, point blank on the Cocoon. He does stop up Jankos, but only Vander gets taken a little bit low after Def sent out the True Shot Barrage. The Dragon's been started, but they're not committing to it just yet.
Waiting for the traps here. Not sure if they're on cooldown or Given is waiting for. There's no trap wall.
I think that's a little bit of a mistake. Top lane's still huge. You've got to be a little bit more patient because you know that Mouse is going back to catch that wave. He hasn't shown yet, and all of a sudden you give up mid lane priority to EDG.
Yeah, but they can still posture here and go mid here. Nobi has caught that top wave. H2K showing some faults in decision making, but that's understandable. Not every call has to be perfect. It's how you deal with bad calls which separates you from being a mediocre team and a great team. Every single team here at Worlds will make bad calls at times, and here's another one.
Portal's coming in. They're going to back off, so they do spend the ultimate, but it just scares away EDG right now, and they look like they're moving towards this Dragon once again as a 5-man unit.
An ultimate for a Ghost, I mean, that's a fair trade at this stage of the game. Also gives them back control of that mid lane.
It definitely wasn't a bad call. It was another call.
Yeah.
Definitely not a bad call, because I like the aggression with which H2K is playing here, going for the Realm Walk. But EG is adapting. 10k gold lead still is massive.
They finally learnt what that weird blue shimmering circle meant. Of course, Riot is not something that's played in China all that much, although they should have experience against it by now.
By now, definitely.
41 minutes of a Ryu clinic helps out with that one.
Yeah, respect the Realm Warp, that's for sure. Def steps up a little far forward, and you have to just respect this distance that Ryu has. He has his Ghost popped already, but his Flash is going to be off cooldown pretty soon.
Yeah, it takes about 55 minutes to learn a champion. Slightly less to learn how to play against a single ability then.
Maths checks out. I like it.
Works out well. All right, H2K, they've decided to start grouping up here, but they have Odoamne sitting on Fountain, available for that TP. The traps are lined up.
Jankos' Prey Seekers have actually like ruined Scout's day, by the way. He's not been able to get anywhere near them because his shield's just never off cooldown.
Oh, sidestep out of the Ezreal ulti. I love how the way the traps work though. You have 3 traps to block that passage, and then you have 2 more on the right if you want to shut everything off. EDG is so hesitant here, but H2K sharing a little bit of that hesitancy. They're not really committing to the Elder.
It's hard to chew through the Elder Drake, and they don't have any mountains to help them out with it right now. EDG still a force to be reckoned with. They're going to get the ultimate out of Jankos as EDG try to establish control of this Riverside.
The longer this goes for, the worse it is for H2K. They're currently 2 major items pretty much in every roll up. But that 80,000 gold, that's when the lead becomes irrelevant, and you're just honestly fighting full power with priority on the map. And right now, H2K have a huge advantage. They need to be able to grab that and ram it down EDG's throat, but a couple of things just haven't come out.
That's pretty graphic.
That's what they need to do. I mean, when you have a look at the composition, this is an all-in comp. Get Odoamne in the backline. He's had teleport, he's had flash available, but they've just misexecuted.
Yeah, let's see if Ryu can ram it down then. He's actually becoming a split pusher. I love seeing Rise players isolated in the lanes because they just have so much pressure. He doesn't have a teleport though, so this could be interesting to see what EDG decide. But because Elder Dragon is such a tough objective to take, you can contest it 45, and Jankos can always make it down here.
God, that's what's happening.
Give it up almost.
I mean, they don't lose too much. It's just going to give them the extra burn. And
Hey, look for
heal.
Cannon. Look for Cannon and a Realm Walk Frank here, because this could be a big fight here. EDG may not expect the damage that's about to come out.
Oh boy, the party portal looks like it's coming in here, and now the trap is sprung. They get in there. Odoamne getting suppressed. He's gone down, but Mouse, his GA is going to get popped. Vander a little bit too low in this one. It is just a 1 for 1. The steal away. Yanko secures a absolutely massive Elder Drake, and EDG are evaporating on the spot.
It's
goodbye, Mako. Goodbye, everybody. And how you gotta think that is goodbye game.
And Ryu wasn't even in the fight. He took a scenic route alongside Summoners, just flashing in just to kill Mako here. What a beautiful flank engage from Odoamne.
What a massive play. H2K get the Elder. They get 4 for 1. They go to the easiest lane to push. It's right up to the top side. Scout is going to have the most ungodly defense if he wants to stop this from going.
25 seconds on most members. This tower is gonna melt here. They need to keep some minions alive to get into the turret. Scout so easily caught out. This should be it for H2K.
Yeah, he can't do it. He can't keep them off the turret. Jankos is too tanky. They're going to go for it one more time.
And they're going to go ahead and take him down. That QSS, that's it. The ace from Ryu. The last towers are going to fall. 45 minutes or just shy of it. H2K, they beat AHQ. They beat EDG. These guys are red hot.
The ability to finally pull the trigger on the late game team fight and do it perfectly. Cannon from one side, the rest of the team from the other gets onto the Ezreal, and you can see it in Clearlove's face. EDG was not expecting to lose today.
But look at the faces of H2K. Very few things have to be said, but the way like they're embracing each other right there, and kind of the looks that they give each other, I feel like this win means so much for the internal stability of the team. We doubted them. They disappointed in week 1, but they come back prepared. They fought back from a Karma stealing a Baron, and right now the second game right after, they take down EDG, group favorites.
Monumental victory for this team. And what a confidence boost. They take down AHQ, they looked crisp, and they corrected the mistakes that they made. And now, against Edward Gaming of all teams, they're able to do it again.